Hello and welcome to Restore 2023. We are in the book of Daniel chapter 10, and as you would have noticed that the visions of Daniel, as they unfold, they grow in size. And what we've got in this chapter is the introduction to the final vision, which we'll see in the next two chapters, chapter 11 and 12. But the whole unit between chapters 10 and 12, they correspond well with what we've seen already in chapter 8. The third year of Cyrus' rule as king over Babylon was 536 before Christ. Cyrus had begun ruling over Persia in 558, but Daniel's and other biblical writers' interest is in Cyrus as a ruler over Babylon, which he conquered in 539 BC. Cyrus is the one who issued his decree allowing the Jews to return to their land and to rebuild the temple in 538. Some of them had departed the same year under Zerubbabel, remember? And Joshua the priest. But they returned. The returned exiles had reinstituted the sacrifices by 536, and by 537 they have begun to rebuild the temple. We see this in Ezra chapter 3 verses 8. But so Daniel would have been in his 80s in 536, and his age may account for his not returning to the promised land. The 24th day of the first month, Daniel had been engaged in fasting, in mourning and praying for a period of 3 full weeks. Now, this was the first month, so that would include the days of the Passover celebration and the Feast of Unleavened Breads that followed it. So as he gathered with others, by the side of the river, that's Tigris. He's very specific about that. His eyes were drawn to the person who stood before him. Now, such majestic was this figure that although Daniel's companions did not see the vision, they felt it. They felt it so tangibly that they fled in terror. It's really funny. But the men who touched Daniel and who proceeded to speak to him may have been the same one that the prophet saw in the vision in verses 5 and 6. But a Bible commentator, Walvoord, I think is correct to say that the person in verses 5 and 6 was God, but the person in verses 10 to 21 was an angel. Now, evidently the good angel who spoke to Daniel had performed some duty in Persia that involved the kings and the rulers of that land. So, however, having received the commission from God to visit Daniel, he was not able to break away to deliver it because of the influence of this bad angel who exercised strong influence over Persia. So it's angel Michael who visited this good angel and helped him break away from this wicked angel's power so that he could go and minister and visit Daniel. Now, what is the meaning of this for us, and why was this important for Daniel? Well, once again, we are reminded that the events of this world cannot be interpreted only by historians. We're very grateful. I'm very grateful for the historians. They've studied events and they go back to trace, as far as one can, the sequences of cause and effect. But here in Daniel, we are introduced to some material that even Daniel from the heavenly archives. It indicates that the events of human history are intertwined with the events in the heavenly places. Spiritual conflict is not an option for Christians, Paul tells us in Ephesians that we receive blessings in the heavenly places in Christ. Later on in the same letter, he tells us that those heaven places are the spheres in which the principalities and the powers of darkness have to be engaged. Our battle is not against blood and flesh, but against the principalities. So in that sense, the Christian reaction is put on the armor of God to survive this kind of conflict. So have you checked your armor today? God bless you, and join us tomorrow for Daniel chapter 11.